Hi, we're live. Hi, it's Jeff and Thomas. Welcome to This Week in vCons. This is for the week ending August 7th, 2026. Hey, Thomas, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful summer here in Cape Cod.
Oh, finally summer. That is good because, in early May, it's not so summertime there.
No, and it's really pretty. So I'm doing great. I'm excited for the fall slate of shows. I'm excited for ClueCon.
So, I'm at ClueCon. We're going to be in Chicago on Monday. That's true. Monday. We're hosting a road. ClueCon's hosting us on Monday. We're going to be bringing the vCon Foundation Roadshow to Chicago, and we're going to be having a member meeting, looking for new members, and ClueCon's going to be a lot of fun. And I shout out to SignalWire, who's our latest member of the vCon Foundation.
Thank you, SignalWire. Thank you. That's it's got to be one of my favorite shows because the density of geek is incredible.
It is a high geek event. That
very,
is true.
Very highly geeky. And my respect. Like these are the guys who actually do the work. These are the guys who actually,
They actually do a nice plug for the vCon Foundation. Thank you for that cup there. It's good product placement. Well, look, but hats off to you and everyone who goes to ITF meetings and everyone's doing the work off site. I mean, moving the protocols along. And just to recap, for those of you not paying attention, during the month of July 2026, vCons got boosted from the small rooms to the main stage due to the significance of what's going on. It's like we're now.
So if you didn't catch that, there's some talk in the group around increasing the vCon charter to include agentic conversations. And Hank was the author of Skit, put together a joint draft. And with the support of Ori Steele and Mira, was called something called Agent Session, and it's an extension to a vCon that tells you what's in it captures the conversation you'll have with a robot, or robots have with each other, and at the very same time capture what they were thinking as they did it.
That's amazing. Wow,
it's really important for like governance and performance and all that stuff. So it's really starting to come together, and there are 7 different protocols that we're putting together for what's called the audit work to audit vCons, audit robots.
Wow.
And it's just 7 different protocols like vCons. There's a lot to learn.
A lot to learn. And so, will any of this work slow down the RFC from coming out, or is it just going to help speed it up?
It's going to speed it up. And the word to learn is normative, which means normative. This is the actual. This is the source of truth. And so, as we're building other protocols that reference vCons, which is now what we're doing, it's hard to reference something which isn't produced as an RFC. It's hard to put it as a normative reference. So it's more pressure for us to get people to review the specs. As we're in that motion now. So if anyone, it's just not limited. If you would agree to take the vCon overview that I wrote, or the core that Dan wrote, or the privacy primer that Diana and I wrote together, and formally review it and put that on the vCon list, it would really help us get that standard out. We're just looking to make sure that we didn't miss anything. We're looking to make sure that it's well reviewed. So you can help us get this out sooner by volunteering to review the vCon specs.
Well, I think anyone who's listening, and one of our loyal viewers of the vCon of This Week in vCons, we're talking to you.
Well, and I'm going to make an offer. I can't make it for Dan, but I'll make the offer. So if you agree to review the vCon overview or the privacy primer, and post that on the mailing list, I'll thank you in the spec. I'll add your name, and you could be immortalized forever in the world of vCon for helping us get it across the line for being a reviewer. So
now, if we only can capture a vCon of your promise here, we could attach that.
Well, you know what? Maybe we'll do that. I'll get my robots ready. I already have a Zoom adapter. We're in stream.
No. But we're on StreamYard here, but it's going out to LinkedIn Live and it's on YouTube. So maybe if you have a YouTube adapter,
YouTube's all day long. Yeah, we can YouTube this easy.
That's awesome. All right, and
traveling.
I've been traveling. Yeah, I spent this week a few days in Las Vegas. No, I didn't go to Black Hat. I actually went to AI4. and I leave wondering what was the AI? What is actually? That's a very kind of iconic thing. What is AI for? And I went there looking for the answer to that, and surprisingly, there was very little telecom presence on the show floor. There were 511 exhibitors. I didn't count the booths, but that's why I went with that spec. They had the outside of the room. I mean, on Tuesday when I was there, literally, they said it was 12,000 people. It felt like it. I mean, it was swarms and swarms of people. For some people, they waited online 2 or 3 hours to register. And I walked in and I did my best to do the entire sweep of the show floor. It took a day and a half to do that. And I was amazed. And at the same time, I left the room a little challenged, trying to figure out, okay, how do I speak? I know how to speak Boomer. I know how to speak Gen X. I thanks to my niece and others, I can get to speak Millennial. Okay, I still don't know how to speak Gen Z, and it's a challenge because I look at on the show floor, and to their credit, there were several recently funded Y Combinator startups in the voice AI space.
I've heard that every class has one now.
Yeah, no, they do, and in fact, multiple. And very politely listening to what their product pitch was, what their I learned ICP's ideal customer profile, understanding their ICPs, understanding their go to market.
Yeah.
It was clear to me that some of these folks are operating in regulated industries, and I was asking them about compliance. And by the way, there were so many other booths talking about trust and security and compliance. Not so much the voice AI folks. Maybe one. But most of them were like very not so clear. And so I did my very best to start pitching vCons to these folks. And if you're watching, maybe one of you are, the conversations were a little awkward. And this
has to be generational, because my first instinct is to say, I think the internet's important.
Yeah, I do.
You don't have to use the internet, and no one's obligated to do it. I mean, you don't have to do that stuff, but I think it's big. I think it
has potential. Could be really big.
It's pretty big, right? And so talking about Boomer stuff. I think it's sort of like, remember when the Roadrunner, remember that? And,
of course, and and Coyote and Wild E. Coyote.
Coyote would run off the cliff.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't fall until he looked down.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what? I think that's kind of what's happening with the voice AI guys. Like they might want to ignore that there's laws or an internet, but as soon as they start to look down, they're kind of realize that there are laws and there is an internet, and they're gonna fall.
Well, I mean, this week as a public safety announcement, I posted a couple of graphics on LinkedIn. Just as a heads up, because Glenn Richards and his partner Sarah were kind enough to host a robocalling Zoominar last week, and I listened to the audio of that. I actually had to watch it myself and listen to what was said and process. And I said, "Wait a second, do you realize that due to an FCC order, every call that's originated by an AI in the United States by default is defined as a robocall?" And that every call, and the fines could be $500 to $1,500 per call. And then as of August 2nd in the EU, it's also defined to be a robocall. So it's not like it could be. No, it is.
It is.
Yeah. And what do you need? You need consent, something you've been talking about forever. You need permission, purpose. You need to be able to prove consent.
And woe to the company that can't prove they had it.
Yeah, and by the way, that's on a federal level, and then in the U.S. there's the TCPA, and then from what I learned recently, on the state level, the feds are encouraging the states to go after big name companies, which, by the way, if you happen to have raised $24 million as a YC Combinator startup and you're in voice AI, watch out. You might be famous enough for one of these state folks to say, hey, you got some money, pay up. Just saying.
Just saying. Actually, so I'm trying to get my analogy list done, but this kind of behavior is not new. Like, that we built cities before we built sewers.
Yeah.
We built cars before we built stop signs.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
We put
safety belts too.
And safety belts, right? Yeah. We always seem to run off the cliff and then realize, oh no.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of like that. And you know, I think there's a, don't quote me on this. I'll get the actual language, but there's an idea in the GDPR laws that if people request things electronically, you have to respond electronically. So if someone has a right to know request and they say, I want my conversation, I want my recording, and they make that electronically, if there's a electronic format that supports it, they have to respond in it. And that's going to change in just like 5 months, right? Whatever the RFC thing is, when that comes out, yes, there's actually a format. So if you start to request your data in Europe electronically, that's conversational. There's now no fig leaf to hide behind because you couldn't have done it before, but you can do it now, and therefore you have to.
I still remember the meetup we hosted in Dublin during the IETF meeting when the gentleman who was a CTO for 40 years was very happy coming into our meeting, and he left a little grumpy because he told us that he always could tell the EU it was not technically feasible to do what they asked for, but after learning about what vCons could do, he can no longer say that.
You know, that reminds me. I think I love my life. I like being a CTO in Cape Cod, but you know what? If I had to be a CTO anywhere, it'd be a fun place to be a CTO. It might be Dublin.
Yeah, I mean, why
the
not?
environment of it, and you know, and just I don't know. I remember being jealous. Like, you're a CTO in Dublin. That's nice.
Not so bad, and it's and you know, summer in Cape Cod's really nice. It's finally I remember we were there in April for our event, and that was cold, a little cold.
Well, you know, it wasn't quite death season. Like, we didn't have a blizzard. There's no.
No, it was just raw and cold, but it's all good. But I'm right now looking to October to what we're doing in Atlanta because I'm actively curating the conference, and so we share it here first. The October 13th, 14th, and 15th are the days for voice and conversations on the net, and on the 13th of October, I'm gonna just naming this, and people don't know about this yet because it hasn't been posted, but it's gonna be basically the 2026 vCon Summit. And I'm very happy that the morning sessions will be like introduction to vCons. So if you heard the term vCon and you want to learn about it, please come to that. And then the afternoon, we're going to curate industry issues, topics, things that are like outside the basic information, things for people to, deploying. And frankly, if people want to demonstrate work they're doing or have questions, we're going to have some roundtables, and we're going to go to industry with that. And in parallel, just for fun, with a look back to what I used to do at the VON conferences where we had the PST and IP Gateway workshop. I'm looking for 15 voice AI companies to come and pitch their products.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
And I think it's gonna be fun. It's the only place really in the culture of what I curate where I actually facilitate and encourage pitching from the stage, because I'm really curious for the verticals people are going after and how people are approaching their go-to-market, who their ideal customers are. A room full of people in that same space, building applications, deploying applications, that would be fun. And frankly, if people are invited to come and pitch their voice AI platform, you're invited to come over to the other room where we'll be talking about vCons. And I think there's a value there. And for the vCon Foundation members, and this is the real perk, October 13th is free. If you are an individual member of the vCon Foundation, your membership dues covered you to attend. And if you're one of our corporate founding members or just corporate members of vCon Foundation, up to 5 people from your organization, gratis. So it's part of that, because we're here as a community. And so we're offering that to our membership to attend. And if you're not a member of the vCon Foundation, it's actually cheaper to join as an individual than it is to buy the day ticket. And so it's an annual benefit. And that's October 13th. And then it's
are there scones?
I'm sorry.
Are there going to be scones?
Only if you bring them, or maybe we could source them locally in Atlanta. We'll find someone who will bake some scones for us, and maybe if the person who brings the scones,
I'll get an Airbnb the night before. I'll make sure
you bake some up. All right,
I'll bake them up. I'll tell Mindy. She always wants why do I get that? I'll tell her. She's not my controller. She's like, why do you have that? Well, I gotta get the scones. Like I have an expense report from Stop and Shop. How is that technical? Well, it's because it's scones. It's not anything That
is awesome. That is awesome. And it's super cool to see that. You know, I remember, you know, when SIP happened and the surge and how everything grew dramatically. And I think we're starting to already feel. I'm feeling it with the inquiries. My calendar. Later today I'm talking to 2 different companies all about vCons. The interest level is going up almost geometric.
Yeah, so I don't. So on a parallel pitch for a second. So I finally released Thinking in vCon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so it's on conserver.io, and this is actually the same content that will be going over live.
Right.
So it's basically meant to have you understand what we're trying to do here. And it kind of reminds me of what happened right when the web came out, whereas prior to the growth of it, we had ideas of what the web would be, right? It was very, send receive. It was very static. It was, remember the
Hey, I was a very big fan of Gopher before. I just have to say,
right.
Yeah.
But then there was this point where, oh my God, you're using the web for that?
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't think about using the web for that. And all the time now I'm like, oh, you're using a vCon for that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I didn't think about that.
Who knew? And there's and you look at everybody who's building and deploying services on the internet today where the vCon could be used. I mean, look at all the commerce. Imagine if people were to use vCons as a proof point of the commerce that took place, how it took place.
We hear so much about fraud. Much about fraud. I heard from someone recently that the amount of fraud that actually occurs in the world, if it were matched against country GDP, would be in the top 10 of a country.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy amount. And then this in and of itself is not unusual, because every time we take in a digital artifact, anything like every time we like spreadsheets, that was your first one, right?
Yes.
Every digital artifact is hiding in it an industrial revolution. It didn't happen before. It happened with pictures, happened with spreadsheets, happened with documents. Gonna happen with a conversation too.
And look, sooner or later, I'm hoping our friends at Anthropic and OpenAI and we'll throw out Microsoft and Google consider using a vCon to import and export conversations. Just saying.
Well, but here, this is one of the reasons why the internet's important. So some of the real strength behind Skit is Microsoft.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the other stuff lower in the audit stack is pushed out by Cloudflare.
There you go.
And in that stack are vCons.
Crazy cool. So
I'm telling you, all you young kids, it ain't sus. The internet, it's big.
It's really big, and you gave me. We're going to hit up Cloudflare and Microsoft to join the vCon Foundation because
that's a great idea.
It'd be really cool. Hey, Thomas, it's been a great week for vCons. I'm curious how the next week will go. But I think this is the summer of vCons. Just saying, this is like the work up to the WoW, and then we'll be flushed with things.
You know what? I hope so. And by the way, I was born in the summer of love in '67.
There you go.
So back in the summer of vCon is just history repeating.
Once again, yes. Hey, Thomas, nice to see you. Catch you next week. Thanks for joining us for This Week in vCons. And if you'd like to be a guest, feel free to drop a line to Thomas and myself. We're happy to have you join us. We're just, if you're working in the vCon space and you want to talk about what you're doing, we're here for you. Thank you.